Hello friends, this is the second, or maybe it's the third of several parts of making our own paper toys. Now, in previous videos we've talked about coming up with ideas for creating characters for toys that we're going to make ourselves. And we made a couple of different tube critters, toilet tube toys, things with ready-made materials such as toilet tubes. We were generating ideas. This is a model space alien. This is Zardy Q. We had an idea to create a basketball playing bird. So I made Andre for I can't remember, one of my students came up with an idea for, decided he was a penguin. I thought he was a crow. But we have ready-made materials, all of us in our own homes, that create solid shapes that are conducive for making toys. But there are certain limits to what we can do with cylinders that are exactly 4 feet, 4 inches high and 6 inches around. So there are other tools that we could use with making our own geometric solids with available materials that everybody has in their house. So I have a few examples of some toys that I've made in the past. This is called the Unsatisfied People Snatcher, the USPS. Built out of a couple of basic shapes, a cube and a half cylinder. They seemed like they would go together well. So we have a post box that has a door that opens and closes, eyes that open up, a mouth that opens up, pivoting swivel arms, and a springing foot. There we go. So all kinds of things that a little bit of paper engineering would get us to use. So let me see a few other examples. We have something that was made with just regular office paper, a lizard shape, also with a hinged mouth, Google eyes, simple shapes. This is the same half cylinder shape that I've used in other ones. Very, very simple shapes that are segmented and attached together with these brass brads. Okay, here's one. My favorite is my zombie creature. Brains. He's got all kinds of details, including creative use of Q-tips, details to get the bones. Also hinged arms, accordion bobblehead, okay, that allows him to walk around. Let me see, angle this down. This is a figure that is freestanding, okay. I tried to get him into a gesture of how the zombie might be walking. The legs don't articulate, but the figure does stand. Okay. And for most of these, I'm using a base dimension for all the figures. Okay. We're going to be making figures that have this basic shape, a cube, with options to go into other shapes. So, some of the things you're going to need include pencil, scissors, glue stick, Elmer's glue, ruler, straight edge, hole punch, net pattern, and cereal box. Okay, pencil, straightforward. Scissors, whatever kind of scissors you got. Okay. Glue sticks are good for a lot of things, but I find you're going to need to have something a little bit stronger. So I also have our liquid Elmer's glue. Rulers and straight edge. I've got these corkback rulers. Some people don't have rulers in their house. Anything that gives sturdy straight edge, index cards, whatever you like. Okay. Isn't this one so cute? 5-6 inches. This is good for a lot of different things. What else did I say? Hole punch. This is good for these articulating figures. It's good to have one of these handy. Net pattern, I'll get back to that in a minute. Cereal box. Oh, I also didn't include on here, add onto that bone folder. A bone folder. This is a bone folder. This is kind of a specialty tool. You can see this has been gotten all nicked up. Either this is some kind of a plastic conglomerate, or it could be actual cow's bone that could be from meat processing. I'm not sure. But this has kind of a a dull edge to it. See that? Something that helps to create nice, crisp creases. Now, if you don't have one of those at home, here's another substitute, a butter knife. Okay, something that's sturdy and solid. It has a pointier edge, but you also have a nice rounded edge here. That'll do the trick. So if you don't have a bone folder in your house, just use a knife. Now, I talked about a net. What is a net? A net is a math term. These are a couple of different nets that show, well, the patterns that you would use to make, in this case, a cube and a triangular prism. You also notice on here, I'll turn this the right way, I've got a couple of extra cutout shapes here that include a square, an equilateral triangle, and a couple of trapezoids. There's a base dimension for these. The base dimension you can guess is 1.5 inches. And this also for this, and I make this as something that I have available for my students, and that they can use this to cut out shapes. I have a couple of different designs that allow for different nets that will make different geometric solids. Okay. Here's another page that shows different geometric solids. So this one here is for a pyramid. This is for that half-cylinder shape. Remember the half-cylinder shape on the U.S. Postal Service. That's what that makes. And in addition, there are also these extra accessories. Okay, so this one is just a 1 inch by 4 inch strip of paper that could make a spring, and additional doodads like this that could make arms that could be for articulating figure. Okay, now what I recommend, if you're lucky enough to have one of those nets, I've made paper shapes and I have cut out a whole bunch of those to show those same nets. This one has a piece of tape. I had to fold it up so I could fit it in my envelope. So here is my cutout shape, okay, of the net. Now you notice I had these cursive letters written all the way around. That shows the different tabs. And what I would do with these is I would fold these trapezoid tabs. For my students, it's important for them to know some of those geometric terms like, well, what are the properties of a square? A square has 4 sides that are the same length, and all the corners come together at right angles, 90-degree angles. Okay, makes it a square. So we talk a lot about these shapes. Okay, I'm just trying to fold all these so that when I want to turn this from a 2D shape into a 3D shape, I will be able to make a cube. Now the letters that are on here, okay, that is the letter A for those who don't know the cursive. It has a corresponding spot on the other side. Let's see. So the idea is, I recommend when we are gluing the shape together, I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the tab. Where is it now? There we go. And A lines up with the part in the shape. Okay. All right, and if I do that, then all these other ones, let's see, we have B, C, and D. These will all go together here, and those will all go together there. Now, I do not recommend that anybody glues this right away. This is made with a flimsy material. Office paper, the stuff that goes through your printer, it's pretty flimsy, and it doesn't hold up really well. But you do have another material that most of us have in our kitchens. It comes in the shape of a box of cereal. Okay, it's free, or whatever you paid for your cereal. And after you're done with that cereal, then you've got this wonderful sturdy material that you can use for your paper toys. Now I've cut off the edges of the box on the top and the bottom. And what I would do is find where the tabs are on the inside. And I can open that up. And we have these very useful panels in the front and the back. You usually cut away the side parts, maybe use those for tracing those shapes. And here's one of those panels that I've already used to cut out a shape. What I've done is I've taken this shape and I've laid it on my box board. With my pencil, I've held it still and traced all the way around the outside so that I've made, voila, I've made that net again. Okay, so there is the net. Now you notice that when I traced around the outside of the box, some of you smarty pantses will be looking at that and say, well, what about those squares in the middle? Yeah, what about those squares in the middle? How'd you get those, smarty pants? Well, what I've done is I've also traced other shapes. Now some of my friends, I've given them a packet like this that has a list of kits, things in there. I'm giving them my own little piece of cereal box. This is big enough for at least one of those nets. Okay. Some strips of paper that'll be good for making those accordion shapes. And down at the bottom, look at this. I got some Google eyes, obviously, some brass brads for making arms and limbs and things. And I have these shapes, which I'm going to pull up carefully. I have a cube. Voila, a cube. Okay. I also have an equilateral triangle. Now, I'm going to use this cube. Very important shape. Let's get back to my net here. Let's see if I can angle this camera down. You'll notice that I have this cutting mat. This is handy. Nobody who sews material will be without one of these cutting mats. They come in different sizes and shapes. Typically they're green. I got this at the surplus store in St. Paul for about $2. And they're very handy because you can use an X-Acto knife and cut shapes out, and it does not hurt the cutting mat list. But you need to have some kind of a Scotch tape. If all you have is masking tape, that's fine too. That's for holding your pieces in place. So I'm going to take off a piece of Scotch tape, just about that much, and I'm going to make a tape loop by curling it around, a tape loop. And what I would do is I would take my square and put it on the place where my net is. Remember, I traced around the outside. I traced around the outside of the shape, and I'm holding it in place, and very carefully I'm going to trace around the square to make the inside shapes. Now I've already done that for demonstration purposes, but yeah, I'm basically tracing around the outside. And draw until all the shapes in the inside have been drawn as well. What I would find after I have traced all those shapes is that all of these lines should be in a nice row. Okay, and that also leaves me with these trapezoid shapes here. Do you see those? On either side. And one very important trapezoid. So what I have here is my net that I'm going to cut up into a cube. Now, when I cut out this outside shape, I'm going to make this a little bit darker here. When I cut out my outside shape, it's not going to fold up very easily. I said that this box board is pretty sturdy. It's going to need a little bit of a help so I can fold it up and make it nice, clean folds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler down along one edge, and I'm going to get my bone folder, right? No, I'm not going to use my bone folder. I'm going to use my butter knife because that's what probably a lot of most people are going to have. So I'm going to show how to use this. Okay, I'm going to hold my knife like so because it's this part of the knife I'm going to use. This is not for cutting. This is not for cutting through the box board. That would kind of defeat the purpose. It would ruin the shape. I'm just going to press on it enough that I'm going to make a crease. Okay, like so. My friends may not know this because you haven't done this before, but I am holding my my ruler right up against the edge of the line that I want to crease. I can see that pencil line there, and I'm going to rub this back and forth, and I'm pressing very firmly on this ruler because I don't want this to shift at all. Okay, I'm going to press very firmly backwards, back and forth. If this ruler moves, I'm not going to have one crease, I'm going to have several. And I don't want that. All right. I know when I'm done if I've done a good job because I can feel a little bit of a groove in that place where I creased. I can feel it there with my fingers, so I know it's good. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, this square goes all the way along the edge. So I'm going to press really firm. And all of these interior lines are the places where I'm going to have to fold my shape. Okay, so I've just made two parallel grooves here. Okay, this crease and this crease. But I'm also going to have to fold these creases as well. So I'm going to, let's see my little one now. Use this one. Crease all of these smaller ones as well. And I'm going to keep going. Now, what about this outside shape? Do you think I need to crease the outside shape? No, I don't, because that's what I'm going to be cutting out with scissors, right? So I'm going to finish creasing that, and I'm going to show you how I'm cutting that out. 2. Again, I am not creasing around these trapezoid shapes because I'm going to be cutting those out with scissors. It's only the inside lines, the inside of the shape. Okay? Now I have my scissors, and I'm going to cut around those outside shapes. I have to be very careful not to cut off any of the tabs. I don't cut any of these shapes apart, just around the outside. Okay? Now watch this. I am going to the joint, the vertex between these angles, and pull that off there. Pull this off. Okay. Now I have my finished cube piece. Oh, looks like I need to trim that a little bit. Okay. Now I can double check, make sure I can feel the crease marks in here. Now this is the most fun of all. What I get to do now is I need to start to fold this into its shape. Watch this. When I bend that, oh, you can hear the fibers bending. Like so, and like so. Now, if you wanted to make your box with the serial picture on the outside, that would be up to you. That would make an interesting creature. But I want to have this nice neutral brown box board. I can still color that with the tools that I have. Okay, now I have my basic box shape. Let's see how it goes together. Like so. And I'll have a basic box. Now, most of us have glue sticks. I'm hoping that people will also have good old white glue, right? I'm going to open this up, make sure I get the dried up glue off the top. And I'm going to start putting this together, okay, with this tab at the very end. This is the most important one. And I'm going to put a little tiny dot, making sure that some glue comes out. Oh, that's the sound I want. Okay. And put 2 dots. That's all it takes. Okay. Now you can also use the edge of that nozzle to spread it on there, so I don't have to get glue on my fingers. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to hold it where these 2 pieces come together. I'm going to hold it, making sure the corners match. I'm going to press and hold it in place. Okay. Now how do I know that I've held it long enough for it to hold? Well, has everybody been washing their hands lately? What do you do when you wash your hands? You sing a song. So I'm going to sing one of my favorite songs. Twing. So now I have part of it is glued. Now look at this. What's wonderful about this design for the net, for the cube, that looks like that's not quite secure there. Press it a little bit more. I can glue the rest of this in one swell foop, or one fell swoop, whichever you like better. So I'm going to put glue on all the remaining tabs and hold it like so. I'm going to put dot, 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 dot. Okay, a bunch of dots there. And I can spread that on with the nozzle. Some extra will seep out. You could touch it with your fingers, but I don't recommend it. Now I'm just going to close those and sing my song. I'm going to hold it all together, touching as many surfaces as I can, and holding it like so. There we go. Oh, this is not a perfect cube. Some of that is coming out. One thing you may want to do is to fashion a weight. If you're not confident that it's taking enough time to dry, you could put it down. Oh, it doesn't seem to want to stay. So what I could do is I could put some weights on it. I have a box of weights right here. That might be enough. And let it go. While that's happening, look what I've got here. I've got another couple of pre-folded cubes, right, ready to go. But I also have one of these as well. Okay, this is also made out of cereal box. This is on the shape kit, right, that I gave my friends. Okay, now this is for an arm, and it says right here, it says hole punch. And these right there, that says thumb. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And you might notice that I've already put a hole punch right in here. I did that with this handy tool there. And I've already creased here and here to make the fingers that will articulate. Okay. So I'm just going to cut there, and I'll show you how this would work. Get the camera to work. Okay, so I can fold it like so and like so. And I will have a functioning hand. Okay. I have one more right here. These two should match up. Okay, and I have a hole punch. I can punch through theirs to make sure that it's in exactly the same spot. Okay, that one now has a hole punch. Let's move this aside here. Let that dry. Now this one needs to be creased as well. Okay, I'm going to mark on here with a pencil where those lines are. It will show me where I need to crease it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'll snip a couple of fingers. Now later on I'm going to add a thumb on here as well. There we go. And I have another hand. Now, the reason I'm showing you this now is I have to decide if I'm going to add limbs onto this box. So this might be the torso for my shape, for my figure. So I'm going to hold it like so and get my hole punch. And slide that out. Somewhere in the middle, I'm going to punch there, and one on the other side as well. All right. Now, this is really important. If you're going to have a shape that has articulating arms that swivel, you have to do this before you glue it together. Let's see how this is doing. I have my cube here. This might be the head. This is going to be the torso, the chest part of my figure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach into my kit. Remember, it had those brass brads in it. Let's get those babies out. Okay. This is what's going to attach these now. I'm going to put them on before I glue it together so that this attachment part on the inside, okay, it will be inside once it's glued. Once it's glued, I can't go back. So there, I've spread that out. Okay. And do the same thing with the other hand, on the other side. Poke it through, open it up. Now I notice that the arms of the brass brads, they extend a little bit. So I'm just going to carefully fold those back, because remember there's going to be tabs attached to the inside. You may need strong fingers to do that. That's okay. See that? Okay. Okay. This is holding together well enough for now. You might notice that because I did that folding, I have arms that not only can swivel, but they've got hands that might be able to grasp something. And because I was struggling with keeping that glue together, I might have to patch this a little bit more. Okay, we're going to leave it at that for now. You can imagine I've got the basics now for my figure. Okay. The next video we'll talk about putting these two pieces together and adding some of the doodads to make it come alive. We've got the basics. The next one, we're going to look at making it become real. Kind of like Pinocchio. All right. Thanks for watching.